All right, so I don't care if it's corded or cordless. Make sure that you unplug or take your battery out before you do any kind of maintenance on power tools, especially one of these, okay? All right, guys, so when removing your electric hand planer blades to sharpen or replace them, you want to make sure that you reinstall them in the proper way. I must admit, I neglected this detail in one of my last videos on hand planers, so hopefully this video will remedy that. Now, the bottom or the base of the hand planer is called the shoe. It consists of two plates, the back plate and the front plate. And this opening here is called the mouth. This is where the blades contact your material. Now, the blades are attached to the blade carrier. This is the cylindrical object that's spinning right now. It's also called the blade drum. That's the blade right there, and there's two of them. There's one here, and there's the other one right there. Now, the blades are attached to the drum by the blade covers. The blade covers help to complete the cylindrical shape of the drum. And as you can see, the covers themselves are attached by these 3 bolts or hex-headed screws. So the first thing we have to do is remove these screws. You can use a tool that's specifically made for this. It's a wrench, and you can reference that in my last video. But right now, I'm going to use a drill with a 9mm socket to loosen the screws. And I'm going to place my thumb on the blade carrier drum knob to hold it still while I loosen the screws. Now you can lift it out this way, or you could just simply lift it up a little bit and slide it out the side of the shoe or the base of the planer. That's going to expose the blade. Now, once again, you want to make sure that you blow out or clean out any dust or debris while you're doing this. This is the perfect time to do that. But you don't want to just lift out the blade like this. Okay? You want to rotate the blade drum knob just a little bit so this part is exposed. Then you want to lift this out like that. Now you have your blade. Now this is the blade right here, and if you notice, it's attached to something. This is what we pulled out initially. This is the adjusting plate. It's attached to the blade with these 2 screws. So let's go ahead and take the other one out. Now, it's always good to try to remember the orientation of these components when you take them out so you won't forget. Hence the point of this video. Now look at this, guys. You see how loose the blade is in there? It's not even fastened to the adjusting plate like it's supposed to. That can be a very dangerous situation, guys. So you got to be careful when you're borrowing or renting tools because you don't know how the last person handled them. Gonna rotate the drum to expose this side so we can pull it out. Look at that, guys. No good. This is how that was in the machine. All right, so if you're going to sharpen or replace your blades, you have to remove them from the adjusting plates first. Now remember, the adjusting plates are these brackets that are attached to the blades by these screws. So all you have to do is take the screws off. So you got a Phillips screwdriver in this case. Look at all that debris on the back of these blades. Let's go ahead and clean that off. All that caked up wood, it's probably been in there forever. They want to take a wire brush and scrub some of that caked up debris off. Clean it off as best you can. Believe it or not, all this caked up debris and dust can cause performance issues with your planer can actually bog down the planer and make it cut slower. It can cause tear out, which means that the blade will leave a jagged cut with the wood torn out rather than a clean cut. So whether you're replacing your blades or sharpening them, it's always good to do periodic maintenance, especially after you use the planer. Look at that, even these adjusting plates need cleaning. Otherwise, they won't adjust your blade properly because of all the dust and debris that's been building up in them. You may want to give the screws a little scrubbing as well, because they get debris built up on them as well. Just rub them against the bristles of the steel brush. That'll help. It's a little easier. All right, so let's not forget the drum covers. Look at all the caked up debris that these have. We got to clean those out too, as well as the screws. And while we're at it, let's just go ahead and scrub some of that debris off the blade drum or blade carrier, especially in this slot right here where the adjusting plate goes. A lot of dust can accumulate in that as well. All right, so the next step is to use this. This is the blade set gauge, specifically for an electric hand planer like what we have here. And this makes sure that the blades are positioned correctly, that they're parallel to each other, and that's very important for a uniform cut. It helps set the depth of the blades so that they're not set too deep or too shallow, because if one blade is deeper than the other, then that's gonna take more off of one side of the wood than the other. Okay, so what we wanna do now is take our blade and we wanna look at our blade here. And this is the bevel, right? This is the sharp side of the blade, the one that does the cutting or shaving. And if you want to know how to sharpen it, look at the last video I did on sharpening hand planer knives. And if we notice, this is the curved end right here. So we want to take that and set it on the blade set gauge. And we want to push it up to the edge just like this. And we want to make sure that that bevel is facing up. You don't want it like this. Then you want to take your adjusting plate and put it on top of the blade, but you want to make sure that your adjusting plate, which also has a curved edge, is butting up against the edge of the blade set gauge like this. You don't want it like this. You don't want that. You want that. And once you have everything aligned and situated, you're going to take your screws and put them back in. And this is how it should look after you're done. Nice and clean and ready to be installed back into the planer. Now, once again, the bevel is facing up. That's because the drum spins in this direction. Look at the arrow right here. So that's why you have to have your blade facing up when you set it in the gauge. So when you install it, it will be in the proper orientation because the cutting action goes anti-clockwise, just like the arrow. You want it like this. Make sure you don't apply too much pressure with the screwdriver because you don't want to strip these screws. All right, guys, so we got blades here that are clean and ready, almost brand new looking, and nothing's slipping around or sliding around like before. Okay, so let's clean that out a little bit more. Okay, now time for installation. So now, if you notice this curved edge, that's gonna go into this slot on the drum, okay? So let's go ahead and put it in there. Just like that. Then we're gonna take one of our covers and put it in as well. And all we have to do is line up the covers with the holes and put our screws in. We can start with the middle. Now I'm gonna put my drill on low gear and turn the clutch to the lowest setting. And then tighten them in ever so gently. You don't want to over tighten. Got to be careful. That's why they have specific tools for your brand. Go ahead and check. See if everything's in place. Yes. So let's go ahead and install the other one. All right, guys. So we see that the blade has the proper orientation, being that the drum is going to spin this way. All right, guys, so here's another problem I just encountered. There was a piece of an old blade stuck in the drum housing, and it prevented the drum from turning properly. I don't know why it just started, because we've been turning this thing this whole video, but this decided to present a problem. So what I did in troubleshooting, I put a blade in there to see why it wasn't turning, and that blade actually fell down into the drum housing as well. I didn't put the drum cover on because I was just troubleshooting it. So in doing that, I saw another piece of this broken blade in there. Let's see if we can see it. I don't know if you guys can see it in there. See that right there? That's the broken blade, piece of a broken blade that was in there causing the problem. That's why it's important, guys, to troubleshoot your tools if you're renting them or borrowing them. So what I have to do right now, guys, is I have to take this portion of the shoe off, this back plate, to get access to all that stuff that fell in there, including my blade. Let's go ahead and finish doing that. All you gotta do is remove these screws to get the back plate off. Sometimes a flathead will help to get that Phillips out because it's a little bit wider and takes up more surface area in the slot, which gives you a better grip. So let's take that off. And now, let's see if we can access our blade. We can take our blade out that fell in there. And let's just see if we can get that other piece out. Yep, this fell out. Yep, this is what was in there. It looked like it got broken. Oh, it looks like this is one blade, piece of one blade. And it's broken on this tip. And this is the other blade. So this was sitting in this. This is not my planer. I rented this, to be honest with you. And this is what people do. They don't care. They just give it back to the rental company and they leave all kinds of stuff in there. This could be very dangerous, guys. The problem didn't even show up right away, right? Didn't even know it was in there until later. So you got to troubleshoot and be careful because people just don't care. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall our blades. Let's test it out. See if it spins. Yep, no obstructions. By the way, guys, if you take the back plate off, be careful because this piece right here, the stand or the foot, may fall out and it's spring loaded. And that spring is very small. I had to find it because mine fell out. And I had to put it back in there. And you got to figure out how to put the spring in. But here's an idea of how it may look. Give you guys a better look here. You're going to have the spring there. Okay, you see that part extending out there? You're going to have that like that. And the other piece, it's going to be like that. That's how you put the spring back on. If it falls out and the spring falls out too, right? That's how you orient it, place it on this when you put it back on. And you just set it back in like that with that piece resting against this. And if you want to test it out, you can see that's how it works, okay? All right, so that's the stand. So when you're not planing, you just sit it on that stand like that, and that's why that thing is necessary. And you don't want that thing to fall out.